Greetings students, welcome to this video lecture series on computer applications for class 10th CBSE, code number 165, chapter 1, that is Internet Basics, and part 3. Two lectures we have already completed the contents from 1 till 5, that is history, working users, ways to connect to internet, and the contents of 5. In this video we will be seeing at emails, blogs, news groups, HTML, IP, remote login, and some other file transfer protocols. So email is one of the very commonly used applications of the internet. So it is very popular that most of you would already be knowing about what email is. It stands for electronic mail transfer. So as the word mail suggests, there is always a receiver and there is always a sender. And then you have a subject of whatever you would like to mail, and there is the main body part of the email. So this is left for you as a homework, and I would like you all to write somewhere around 50 to 100 words regarding what email is. That is left for you as a homework. Moving on to the blogs. So blog is a web page or website where an individual posts a content based on his own opinions, experiences, researched content, etc. regularly. So you must have seen the blogs related to say some health related blogs where these blogs they have very catchy sort of headings like 10 different ways you can work out to remove your belly fat, or maybe say 15 superfoods you require in your diet to minimize the fat percentage in your body. So these are the kind of headings they'll have to attract the kind of audience they wish to target. So these can be well-researched blogs as well. So a typical blog can be a combination of image, text, sound, videos, etc. to make them more attractive. So maybe, as I mentioned, they'll show like 10 best yoga poses to do in order to remove, in order to strengthen your shoulders, or maybe in order to strengthen your eyesight. So they'll show the images as well for demonstrating the way of doing those yoga poses. So a person who writes blog is called a blogger. I will show you the example of blogs in subsequent slides. So some of the examples are mindbodygreen.com and www.speakingtree.in. So these are some of the examples. I'm pretty sure you would have already witnessed many of the blogs, and I think these are very popular, so many of you must have started your own blogs as well. Alright students, so this is one example of a blog. So this is a very common and popular website called Speaking Tree. So this here we can see the blogs from various different writers, various different bloggers. So we can see, let's just open this blog and we can see it has so many views. So let's just open this blog. So this is the blog title COVID-19 Crisis, Where is God in all of this, by Bishop Lalchan Abraham. So this is a spiritual blog. So he has given certain facts, and he's basically showing whatever he's telling, that's his own opinion. So it has got zero comments. How I mentioned how the blogs will have some links to other, these are all the hypertext links to some other blogs. So this is one example of a blog. This is the advertisement in the blog site, and it has zero comments. So it also has a comment section in the very end. Now it is showing 9 comments over here. Here you can also write whatever your comments are. So the blogs have the comment section, as I mentioned, and it even has a comment section from Facebook, from where you can log in from Facebook and comment on this. So that is all about the blogs. Advantages and disadvantages of blogs. So one good advantage of the blog is you work as per your own convenience. So you can write a blog in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning, whenever the internet connection is there 24 by 7. So you can write it 5 a.m. in the morning, complete it by 6 a.m., go to your regular job, and then come back and rewrite whatever you think is to be added in your blog after you come back home. So it is as per your convenience, or maybe if you are a full-time blogger, then you can stay at home and just write the blogs as per the deadlines of your blog release. So the bloggers generally release the blogs from time to time in order to keep the traffic to their website engaged. Then it is very easy and quick to update and add posts in your blog. So you have added a blog website, so there you can easily update what is written and add posts as you discover what is your topic. So people can leave comments. It is a kind of opinion in itself where you are expressing your opinions by the means of blog. So people in the comment section can write their own comments that what they feel, what were their experiences regarding the same. Suppose the blog is about a movie picture review, so they can write we feel that this director has done something else, and so they are free to express their opinions in the comment section. So it increases blog revenue. The more people that are coming to your website is known as the traffic. So more traffic is coming to your website, then it is maybe you can link your account to some advertisements, and if they see those advertisements, so they'll be able to monetize their blog website. Monetize as in they'll be able to earn money. Blogger can answer the queries in the comment section, thereby making it more engaging to interact in a particular blog and more interactive. Disadvantages are a full-time blogger may be isolated from society, so he has deadlines to meet, so he'll be working hard on his blog to make it more popular. And it's not a fixed source of income also. You, it is very easy to fantasize about the amount of money you will be earning via blogs, but in reality, one has to work really hard, and your passion will decide how consistently you are able to deliver in a blog. You may have biases and prejudices of a blogger. Suppose you are writing about tourism of a certain area and you had a bad experience regarding that particular place. So your blog will be highlighting only that bad experience in it. And not everyone has a bad experience in that particular place. So your prejudices or your biases, your bad experiences may be communicated to the world via your blog, which may be far from reality, or maybe you were the only exception in that particular case. Okay, coming next to HTML. Now we have moved on to the programming language to design the web pages. So it is a markup language containing the markup tags. Containing the markup tags, so you see these angular brackets. These are used to mark up the whole programmable code, right? So these markup tags tell the browser about the headings, body and other details. So it is very easy to program in HTML. So what you can do is you just open a notepad and the program starts by making a angular bracket and writing HTML in it, and then there is a corresponding end statement for this particular HTML which will represent the end of a web page. So it will start with forward slash HTML, right? So there will be other components to this like heading. So it will is just represented by HEAD, and then the end for the heading where we will understand key the heading has ended. So forward slash HEAD. We'll write something over here, whatever the name of the web page. and this is one block, this is another block. Then there is another block over here, the body part, body. So we'll write something over here as well. Then again put an end to the body section, body. In this manner, you will finally close the whole web page programming by putting this end statement of HTML. So this is one example. It is called a markup language because you are actually marking the components of the program, the web page. Like this head represents the heading part, so this is representing the body part. You're actually marking it up. Whatever is written between this this particular head and this particular slash head is the heading. So you are marking that up. So each individual markup code is called an element. So this markup code over here is known as the element, representing that heading part. HTML elements have two basic properties. Those are known as attributes and contents. Attributes and contents. So that was just a brief overview about the HTML. We have in subsequent chapters where we will go into the details of HTML programming. Next comes the internet protocols. So as I mentioned in the very first lecture that internet protocols are the protocols that govern the functioning of internet. A protocol that allows the setting up of a valid connection between two particular computers and their data transferring. So we came up across the concept of client and server. So the interconnection between them is governed by internet protocol, whatever file is being sent to each other. So protocols defined a standardized format for data packets to be transmitted through the network. So we'll spend some time on this word called protocol. What is a protocol? So protocols are basically a set of rules, not only in computer science but even in the institutions like your school, where there is a protocol of walking in a line. So you're not supposed to break the protocol. If you break the line, so the necessary disciplinary action will be taken against you. So these are the protocols that you have to come with a well cut hair and properly dressed to reach before time. So these are some of the protocols, meaning some of the rules that defines the standardized format. Standardized format means every student has to do that. In case of school example, so here the protocols defines the standardized format for data packets. So there is a big file, say 1 MB file, so that will be divided into small packets, P1, P2, like that. It will be sent packet wise to the destination, not as a 1 MB file as a whole, but divided into packets. So those data packets will be transmitted through the network. So HTTP stands for, this is the first internet protocol. So it stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So this is an application level protocol. This application level is, there are 7 levels in the networking. They they are the part of discussion of higher classes, but I will just give you a brief overview. This is not in your syllabus, just a brief overview. There are 7 layers through which a message has to be passed in order to reach the destination. So this is source, this is destination. Okay. So it is used by the whole World Wide Web and defines how messages are transmitted and what actions web browsers, web servers, and browsers should take in response to various commands. So there are various commands like uh, bring me this file. As I mentioned in previous video lectures, you write www.google.com. Okay, so this you have requested the home page of google.com. So you are a client over here. So you have requested the web server of Google, right? So they will then show you the home page. But first you have requested. So this HTTP actually defines the message of you are sending the message key fetch me the data. So this is transmitted from client to server via this HTTP. Alright. So each command is executed independently without knowledge of commands before that came before it. This is a self-explanatory for so you can independently execute these commands. Whenever you reach some page, you can again type google.com, so they will be executed independently, not in relation to previous page. When you enter a URL in a browser, it sends a HTTP command to the web server directly to fetch and transmit the requested page. I had already given you this example of google.com. So you enter the URL over here, Google www.google.com. So it is sent as a HTTP command to the web server of google.com directly to fetch and transmit the requested web page. So this is totally out of the syllabus, but you can have a certain insight. This is not in your syllabus, but you can still, for the sake of understanding. So we have human readable text, google.com. So that is then application converted to application readable format. So these are the 7 layers of networking through which your message goes, and it is converted at every layer. So as we saw in the previous case that it was an application layer protocol HTTPS. So it acts over here. HTTPS acts at this layer. So your google.com got converted over here. Then it gets converted over here. This is not in your syllabus. Then finally it is transmitted after 7 layers of conversion, then retransformed in a vice versa order, in an opposite reverse order, so that you get a human readable message at this end in form of home page. It is reconverted. Again, HTTPS acts over here as well. Then comes the transmission control protocol and internet protocol. So as the word itself suggests, it is going to take care of the transmission of the files. It is going to control the transmission. So protocol, as I mentioned, set of rules. So it is a communication protocol of the internet. It defines the rules that computer must follow in order to communicate with each other over the internet. TCPIP is responsible for finding the path for the destination. So there is a source from where you have requested a file source, and then there are so many destinations. Destinations can be as many as the websites, D1, D2, D1, D2, and so on to DN. So many destinations. So TCP is responsible for finding the path for the destination. Now you have requested the home page of say D2. So you've written www dot whatever the name of that D2 is. So it will make connection with the D2, only with D2, right? In a place where so many destinations exist, right? So that is governed by the TCP and slash IP. They both are responsible. So whatever the message you have sent, it will, as I mentioned, it will be broken down into packets or datagrams. So P1, P2, P3, and so on to PN will be sent there and reassembled at D2, so that they make a sense of what is P1 to PN. They will add, they will combine all of these and get the file F1, which you had sent from here, F1, or maybe the message M1. Correct. So IP defines the structure of datagram that encapsulates the data and sends them. So Internet Protocol defines the structure of this datagram. It is sending the packets or datagrams, but the structure of this packet will be defined by the Internet Protocol. So we have a datagram. Let us just keep one name for now, packet. So it is made up of two parts as I mentioned. One is actually the data in it, and another is the address of destination. So packet is made up of two parts. So IP also defines the addressing methods used to label the datagrams. So as I labeled here casually very P1, P2, but they will not be, this was just for sake of understanding. They will have a separate address based on the addressing methods. They'll go separately. Next, SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. It is a standard protocol for email service. As the name itself suggests, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So it provides the ability to send and receive emails over the internet. We are talking about the very early times of the internet where these protocols were just being developed and email was a big discovery at that time. So SMTP standard defines the conversion between the sender of an email and SMTP mail server. So there is a SMTP mail server that delivers the mail. SMTP defines the conversation between sender. So you are the sender and then there is a SMTP mail server. So there's the conversation. You issue a valid command to SMTP server, then the server delivers the mail to the receiver. So you have asked the SMTP to deliver my mail, and then it will deliver the mail to the destination. This is the sender, this is the destination. You send the mail to SMTP server, and then it will deliver the mail to the destination. Very simple. Then comes the POP3 Post Office Protocol version 3. So it is a standard mail protocol used to receive emails from the remote server. The remote server is a very distant server, maybe located somewhere very far away. So it allows you to download the email messages on the local computer and read them even offline. So this is the characteristic of POP3 that you are able to download the email messages on the local computer and read them offline. So when we use POP3 to connect to email account, the messages are downloaded locally. That means you are able to download it on your computer and they will be removed from the email server. It will no longer be available at the server, meaning you cannot access the email from multiple locations because you have already downloaded it at your desktop. Say again, we'll call this the sender. So you have, and this is the mail server. You have already downloaded the email from the server. Now this email is not available. You have it here. Now there is no entry of E. So now if you access it from different sender, different computers, say C2, you will not be able to see the email. There is my email. It's not there because it's already been downloaded here. So meaning you cannot access the email from multiple location. On the other hand, downloading the email from your computer will reduce the email server space. Now you have downloaded the email of say E from here. So this space got free. So now you have more space in your server. Suppose this email was of 2 KB. It got downloaded, so 2 KB are free in server now. Then comes the HTTPS. So we already saw what hypertext transfer protocol was. So this S here is actually a secured version of the HTTP. It is primarily a protocol used to send data between web server and website, web browser and a website. So it was already discussed in HTTP. HTTP is encrypted to increase the security of data transfer. to prevent like eavesdropping and man in the middle attack. So you have this email, it will be encrypted. Maybe if you have to send a data, say D1. Now this D1 you have to send via HTTPS. HTTPS. This D1 will be encrypted. What do you understand by encrypted means? Its form will be changed. D1 will be changed to say alpha 1 and sent over to the destination of receiver. So he will receive alpha 1, but the uh, this D1 will have the sender over here. So D1 will also be the sender will also send a key, or rather let's make a key. This key will be used to interpret what alpha 1 is. This alpha 1 is not readable. This alpha 1 will then be opened via a key and we will get D1 back. In this way, the form of D1 got converted to alpha 1 and alpha 1 got reconverted to D1. This is known as encryption so that nobody is able to understand what message I sent. So to prevent attacks like eavesdropping, man in the middle attack. So eavesdropping, there is this again sender and there is this receiver. Okay, let me just clear the screen. So there is this sender and then there is receiver. Okay, so your message is supposed to be sent from D1 is your message and you're sending it to the R. But what might happen is somebody might be listening to what your uh, D1, what your message is sent from S to R. But here comes a person called X. So he might listen to what your message is. So he might be able to see what your message is. So he got access of D1. Here he is not doing anything, but he now knows what was the conversation between sender and receiver. This is known as eavesdropping. Then comes the man in the middle attack where you have your sender and this is a receiver and somebody else acts as a receiver. This is a fake person, say X. It will act like a receiver. It will show that I'm a receiver, but it's not a receiver. So your message D1 got delivered from sender to receiver, not the receiver, but to this impersonating person called X. Okay, so R was not the original receiver was not able to see your message, but this impersonating person was able to see. So this is known as man in the middle attack. He might, depending upon the information he received D1, he might give some other information to R1, R receiver, or maybe he might change the information altogether. So these are some of the attacks used by the hackers. So these are used for unsecured communication over the internet. HTTP, now we have the comparison between HTTP and HTTPS. So HTTP is used for unsecured communication over the internet and do not use any of the security protocols. HTTPS on the other hand uses secured communication over the internet, uses security protocols at transport layer, that is SSL and TSL. So I showed you the 7 layers in previous diagram. So there is one layer, transport layer over there. protocol refers to, as the word itself suggests. For sake of learning, you can just break down what the protocol is, FTP. So its full form reveals quite a bit about it. So it's a standard network protocol used to transfer files from, again, one host to another host. So let's just call it again sender and receiver. So same thing is happening over here over the TCP network. So TCP network is important because the transmission of files will be governed by this protocol over there. So FTP follows client and server principle. So in this case, this server is known as client, sender is known as client, and this receiver is known as mm, server. So it establishes two connection between hosts. So one is used for data transfer. So this is used for data transfer, data, and which opens and closes during each file transfer. So for every file, this connection will be established and then closed. And other connection is for control information. So there are two connections happening over here which are independent of each other. This is the control information which remains connected during the FTP session. Then comes the secure shell or SSH. It's a protocol and it's a method for secure remote login. Remote login again means connecting to a computer that is situated in a remote place or maybe far away from one computer to another. So it provides alternative options for strong authentication. So we came across a word called encryption in previous slides. Here we have come across another word called authentication. So it uses both of these two things, authentication plus encryption, to provide communication security and integrity. We saw how encryptions provide the security, and we will see in a very brief manner what authentication is. So it's a secure alternative to non-protected logins. In case of telnet, it's not protected, so we can have hackers listening to eavesdropping over here, or man-in-the-middle attack, or insecure file transfer. Like FTP is also insecure, so we can have viruses through FTP. But here we are having authentication. So what authentication means in a very brief manner is you have again this sender and receiver. So when you authenticate, so they will have some mechanism which will bind both of these two into a secure authentication key. At this time, only these two will be communicating with each other. They will have some way of sending something that receiver knows key sender is authentic or not some fake person. So this way it is authenticated. And encryption, we already know the data will be sent in a modified form so that receiver knows. Only receiver is able to decipher what the message is, since it is meant only for the receiver. SFTP stands for Secure File Transfer Protocol. It uses secure shell. So SFTP uses SSH, that is Secure Shell File Transfer Protocol. It is used to access, transfer, manage files on remote system. Again, it is all these are remote login protocols, and this allows businesses to securely transfer the billing data, fund recovery data. So this is very important when you are having real money into the picture. When you are having the real money in the picture, so you would like the system to be very efficient so that your billing data is very important. Your funds that you have transferred should not be any error in those. And if your data is lost, there should be a mechanism of backup and recovery. So SFTP, Secure File Transfer Protocol, uses secure shell transfer files and requires the client to be authenticated and by the server. So we must have seen the ways to authenticate. In today's scenario, there is one-time login, OTP, password. So those are also ways of authenticating that the user is the user. The user is authentic and not some hacker, because the message is sent to the registered mobile number. That is one way of authenticating again. Then comes the SCP secure copy. So it stands for secure copy. It is again a file transfer protocol, just like the previous one, helps in transferring computer files securely from a local host. So from a local host, again, the picture is more or less the same in every case. There is a sender, there is a receiver. Here it's known as local host. So you're sending it to some remote server because these are all remote login techniques. So secure shell again is being used here for its protocol called SSH protocol, and it supports authentication and login as an encryption. That's why it is called secure, because it's secured and no threat of data stealing is there.